Thank you very much, Russ. And thank you for everyone attending this Microsoft 365 virtual marathon. It really is sort of like an exciting moment, a little sort of say nerve-wracking moment, because yeah, I don't think we've done anything like this in the world on this scale or on this magnitude in terms of attendees, all speakers, all languages as well. So this definitely is a global first on this. So my name's Peter Ward, and I'm going to talk about creating bots for Microsoft Teams in Azure. Okay, so a couple of slides. Mark this in your calendar for next year. There is the Office 365 Collaboration Conference, and this is going to be in Vegas. So I'm assuming we're going to be back to normal, all in the real world, this time next year. Okay, so let's just talk about some sponsors on this. These are the sponsors. So I just want to thank the sponsors for making this event possible. You know, this, even though this is a free event for the attendees, it does cost money and effort to actually do this. On a personal experience, I've been working with SharePoint for over 15 years now, and I can just say, like AvePoint, I've known them from the very early days, and QuizCom, I've known them from the very early days as well, in terms of their Bamboo web parts. Sorry, with their web parts, which gets deployed on this. So let me just introduce myself. That's a great picture of myself. Okay, so I'm the founder and CTO of Soho Dragon. We're a New York-based Microsoft partner. We have offices in India, in Ahmedabad, in India, and Lithuania and London as well. My skills are increasingly becoming Teams for the last 2-3 years. I've been using SharePoint since 2003. Boy, I've just got some great stories, some good stories, and some horror stories, I can tell you on that. I've co-written 4 books on SharePoint. I also have a column in the Forbes magazine. I'm the co-organizer of SharePoint Saturday New York City, which is one of the biggest SharePoint Saturdays in North America. And I also host a meetup every month called Teams Tuesday. So love to have you attend that. And all we do is have great speakers talking about Teams. I'm based in New York, and I'm very old school when it comes to technology. I like my projects on time and on budget. My hobbies are yoga and vegetarian cooking. Okay, so remember there's a raffle at the end. Okay, so these are the raffles. Okay, so this is the bit.ly, and but basically these, you know, for the raffle prizes, and so do actually complete this in, and you have a chance to win some good prizes. Okay, so this is a side. So if you are you know, given in this time, or all working at home, okay, be considering donating to the following charity relief funds. United Way or International Medical Corps. I'm sure they're very busy, and like a little bit of money will actually go a long way for actually a good cause, which is actually affecting everybody in the world right as we speak right now. This is actually a picture of my wife. She's actually a doctor in a hospital in New York. Okay, I thought I'll throw that out here because not only giving you tips on bots, okay, but there's also the tip here is keep your social distancing even in elevators. On that. So that's my only health tip here, but it could be important to you. Right. So the agenda here is creating a bot for MS Teams in Azure. And in this session, I'm going to show you the basic fundamentals of like registering the web service, the bot, real life business cases, and such as the chat and direct lines of business. Okay, I'm preparing the Azure environment, registering it, and deploying it to MS Teams and using the app manifest. Okay, so there's some introductions. So Ross, is it possible to just unmute people so I can actually speak to some of the attendees, or would you rather they go through the chat window?
I don't have control over that. The attendees are automatically muted.
All right. Okay. Can they unmute? Can they unmute themselves or not?
No.
All right. Okay. So in terms of the chat windows, let me ask you this. Let me ask you, does everybody have the ability to, has anyone actually used chat before actually in what they're doing in their current jobs? Can we see that through the chat windows?
Yeah, I mean, there's a Q&A that they can basically go through and submit any questions they have.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just do that then. Okay, so I will see that Q&A. Okay, so I've already got the questions coming in. So this is throw some questions in on this. I will publish all of the regular questions. Okay, so a couple of questions. Who's used chat bots just in the past? Okay, just throw that into the Q&A and I'll just look at these. Okay, a few people saying yes, they have. That's good. Okay, so we have a few novices who are completely new to this. All right, very good. Is there anyone here who has not used Azure? Okay, that's good. You're in the right session, I would say that. And is there anyone here who's using Microsoft on-prem still? If you are, there might not be much value in this session, I have to confess. Okay, that's great, fantastic. All right, okay, that's all good stuff. Okay, so basically, okay, let's just talk about Teams and bots, right? So when we talk about bots, it's great for automation and basically getting those quick bit repeatable task information. When you think about bots, a web scraping application is actually a bot. Okay, when you go to a website, a public facing website, okay, the chat bot comes up and you're typing in, give me some prices, or can an agent speak to you? That's automated, that's the chat bot. Okay, and what's good about these chat bots is that there's already a platform there for you for the chat bot to be actually deployed and working with the end user, and that's on the website. Okay, the website's just doing that, and even you can get the chat bots on your text message in your phone where it's going perhaps with the airline. Do you still want to book this flight? Do you want to book this restaurant? That's a great example of bots. Using a bot with Teams is the perfect synergy. And the reason why is because you've already got the platform already deployed, okay, and also you've got like a platform which is hitting basically a mothership where you can apply business rules. The mothership here is Azure. Okay, so this is where Teams and bots, they really are make great sense because you've got already the platform which has been deployed to the end user, and then you've already got the, so we say, the server, the mothership, which can take that information, apply business rules, and relay that information back to the end user. So it's perfect. And of course, you don't need to deploy any code across the user's desktops. It's because it's all self-contained within Teams. Right, okay, so this is very important information. You don't need to write anything down on this presentation because it's all on my blog, okay, which is wardpeter.com. This is actually a repeat slide of what we just said. You don't need to write anything down. It's because everything is on my blog and it's actually being posted right now on that. So you can just pay attention and have your coffee or your masala tea. Okay, so let's just talk about my journey about bots and MS Teams. Okay, so, you know, like a lot of, we say, people who are developing with Teams, they were developing an Office 365 platform, and now they're doing it with Teams, and now bots, the bot framework is a natural extension to your skill set. So I'm not by any means an expert on bots. Okay, what you're going to be witnessing is basically the basics of how to get this bot framework set up in your Azure environment, and basically how to get going. And so get the car going from first to perhaps second gear, and then it's really up to you to actually do the rest. So you're not going to become sort of like some Superman bot developer with this presentation. I'm really showing you how to get started and really the basics and actually the fundamentals and some of the mistakes which I made. So instead of you having a scenic journey to get to the destination, you can actually have a very direct journey to get to a destination very quick. Okay, so here we've got basically the first step is basically preparing your development environment. So no coding is necessary. All you need is an Azure account and an Azure subscriptions and an MS Teams desktop. Your permissions, you need Azure, and you also need to have an admin to basically the MS Teams tenant itself. Right, okay, this is going to be like a 3-step process. And when I talk about a 3-step process, we're going to create the listener. And I'm going to try and break this down into like layman's terms. Okay, and when I talk about layman's terms, I mean by basically like how do we actually create the listener for the web service? Okay, point that listener to the team, which is really like the wiring process. Okay, and then we're going to talk about, so we say switching on that listener, that process to deploy to an actual team. Those are like the 3 steps that you actually, that I will be actually giving you a walkthrough on this. And I'll be going into some detail on this, and I'll be stopping and answering your questions. Again, feel free to interrupt me with questions. More than happy to answer them while I'm on the fly. All right, so step 1, let's create that listener on the key. And this is basically creating the, creating the actual bot, okay, and registering it in actually Azure. And a lot of this information is in these on these Microsoft websites, and I'll be talking about that at the end in terms of GitHub and other sources where you can build up your knowledge and learning practices. Okay, so here I am. I'm actually in the Azure tenants. Okay, and I'm adding an Azure service. Okay, so there, if we look at the Azure service, you've got the AI machine learning, and now I'm choosing the web bot. Right, so now I'm basically going to put the bot handle, like this is basically the, what we can actually going to call the bot and what we're going to be referencing in this bot. Choosing the subscription model. Now the resource group, okay, I actually like labeling the resource group something. And the reason why is because you're going to end up, like just in SharePoint world, you get SharePoint sprawl, you're going to get bot sprawl. Okay. Some things never changed. You heard the saying, the more things change, the more things stay the same. So the moment we started doing some bots, we say development, my Office 365 admin person, so it tapped me on the shoulder and said, "What's going on?" Firstly, our subscription's going off the scales, and we've got a whole bunch of bots, which I don't really understand who's doing all this stuff. So we then put some governance. Yes, SharePoint governance. You probably want to have a bit of bot governance. To do something like that, just take the SharePoint governance document and just do a cut and replace team site with bots, and I think you'd be about 80% there. But joking aside, with the resource group, create it with departments. So we say like HR, sales, PMO, okay, or even test as well. Okay, so by just doing that, at least you've got, so we say, some buckets of where these actually bots are, so they can be actually somewhat administrated. Location. Now you're going to make me wondering, okay, well, wait a minute here. Why do we care about location? Well, remember, if you're working with a bank, okay, you are going to care about rotation. It's because it could be regulated, or with a government as well on that. So therefore, these are the little things that matter. And you'll hear me say this repeatedly throughout the session. Okay, most technical problems are not actually technical. Actually, they're more basically end user, okay, deployment or communication problems on this. Echo bot, I've actually put in the Echo bot here. This basically, when you make a message on the bot, it actually repeats it back to you about what's going on. Okay, application insights. Application insights provides additional logging facilities. Okay, so therefore that might be good, particularly good for consumption. Okay, and it's also particularly good for logging. Okay, so when you talk about consumption, this is quite good. It's quite important. It's because when the bills start coming in, people start sort of like looking at each other saying, well, it's not my code that's doing the problem. Okay, it's not the first time developers are in complete denial of something. So therefore, you want to have this turned on and just start seeing this is how much things are actually costing, because these things, start adding up as well. I've just made it US East Coast. So you can see this is pretty self-explanatory. So that bot, what you just saw, I actually didn't save that bot because I'd already created the bot previously. And that the previous bot I actually created was called 0506. Okay, and that's all test, but it's exactly how I just did this. So let's just look at this screen here. Okay, this is actually the bot framework here, the plan, the build, the test, okay, the connect. Those are the exact steps that I'm actually referring to. Left-hand side, this is basically getting, should we say, getting the information for the bot. So you can test the bot without actually deploying this. I'm showing you this right now. So this, I've got a simple bot, which is from a template, okay? And so I type in hi, and it repeats back to me saying, you said hi. I say testing, you say testing. And so before we have any jokes on this, don't say anything like, well, you say tomato, I say tomato. Old joke, heard it many times. So this is a good feature because it means you can test your code, okay, before you actually deploy it. Yes, as well, particularly to the end user, or into a production environment. Okay, and that's basically the deal there. So let me just move on to the next slide. Okay, so that was the first step. Okay, so that first step was basically registering that bot, which you just saw. Okay, and we've actually registered. We talked about the monitoring, and also basically why you should actually choose your location. So now, basically, the next step is what I would class as point that's a listener. A bot, you could say it's like a listener. It's listening for inputs. It will process those inputs and it will give you outputs. What you witnessed right now was the input was hello, the process it, and the output was you said hello. Simple stuff. Okay, so now we're actually, okay, and that was in a test environment. So we're now basically going to point that listener to a process. So here I'm actually in the Teams client. Okay, if I click my apps, which is on the lower left, then do my search for the application studio. Okay, anything custom and you want to deploy it is generally in the application studio. So I'm now going to go to the manifest editor. Find my bot. So this is a minor point, okay, but it's actually quite an important point. This is where you basically do your customizations bit, where you put your name and you do your branding. Okay, so it's important that you actually brand your bot. And you might say, well, you know, technology, you know, like I'm a Visual Studio guy. Why do I care about branding? You'll see why you care about the branding is because if you're doing like an HR bot, you might want to have something that looks like HR. If you're doing sales, you want to have a sales bot. It's because what's going to happen in your environment, you're going to have multiple bots, okay? And as a result, you want to have someone who's trying to get information, HR information, from the HR bot, not the other way around. And you're going to see this further on. So this is a minor point, but it adds a little bit of touch of class, very simply, to your bot to make it as user-friendly as much as possible. It's a classic case. Don't underestimate the stupidity of end users. That's my test bot. So you can see that message bot, there's like, when we talk about the framework, with a framework, you basically, in any application, a framework, basically, it's a guidance process to basically get you to the destination as possible. So there's certain things that are available, certain things that are not available. A little bit like SharePoint. SharePoint is a template, a team site is a template, And by just a few clicks, you can basically get a SharePoint website, or you can get a website which has got a template, and then you can customize it. This is the same with bots as well. So I'm actually adding a bot to a team. I can do it to a personal chat. I can do it to a group chat. In this case, I'm adding it to a team. Okay, and also I can do things such as basically a one-way notification for a bot, where I just throw the information to the bot, and it basically takes that information and it can do something with that information. So this, even though this is saying download, it's not actually downloading this to the user. It's basically bringing it down to the tenant. Okay, so before you ask any questions, just like say, all right, what's going on? Okay, do we actually need to download it to every individual user? No, you don't. You're actually bringing it to the team tenant. And this is why Teams is great for this stuff, because you don't need to deploy it across the desktop. Once it goes into the team and the team, okay, it immediately is going to anybody within Teams which have got Teams installed. So Teams is a great platform. Any questions so far? Okay, good. All right, next step is connect the listener to the process. And this is where we're actually deploying it to the actual team. So far, we registered the bot to the Azure tenant, step 1. Step 2, we brought the bot to the Teams application, and now we're going to deploy it to the actual team. Okay. So here I'm in the team, I'm managing my team. I'm going to go to my app, and this is a once-time experience. I upload the app, upload for Soho Dragon, which of course is my tenants. Okay, so that was uploaded, okay, and in a tenant. So now I'm witnessing, I'm showing you, and you're witnessing that actually bot in action. So I've applied it to a channel called TestBot Azure. So this is exactly what I meant about the bots. We had so many bots here, we kind of everyone got a bit confused. So the bot which we've created here is called TestBot 506 on that. So this is almost a bit like with SharePoint branding. You'd have a good SharePoint branding site is like a digital representation of your corporate identity. I can see this occurring with bots, that your bot branding should actually be a digital representation of your company, or even like perhaps the person in HR if you want to do this. So you can see you can have bots here for sales, project management, HR, or anything. Okay, so notice with the bot, I have to put the @ and then I choose the bot and it chooses it, and then it says hello, and it does, and it comes back. Hasn't come back yet, still thinking. There you go. Okay, so it says you said hello, simple as that. And that's really what this bot does. Okay, so here I made, this is a rookie mistake, which end users do. You just type in the word and you think, well, the bot doesn't actually work. Okay, of course, you need to put the @ to get the bot, and then you put in the variable. Trust me, we had some end users with some challenges on that. And that's exactly what the actual bot done. So we actually deployed it to the team. Okay, and you can now see this in action. Okay, very, very simple. You put in the command, it goes up to the Azure environment, it goes to a business role, okay, and then it comes back. Okay, so with that being said, next step is let's talk about editing these bots. So you saw me register the bots. So let's go back into Azure and we'll see how that works. Okay, so here I'm on my SharePoint site. Let me basically go to the Azure environment where the bots are. So this is the screen that we actually saw before. Okay, of that left navigation for the bot management. And then go to build, the online editor. So this is Node.js. So this is the code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change and swap out some code so you can see what goes on with the change. So at the moment, basically, it says, this is the repeat. It says, you said, whatever I said, Wednesday or hello, what you just witnessed. I'm going to replace this or comment this out and basically replace it with this to say hello with the username. I'm going to test this in the web chat. Hello, you said hello. Commenting it out. And this saves it automatically. So there's no compiling here, there's no redeploying. So I made the mistake again there. Let me choose the bot. So it's picked up my username. So it didn't echo back. It just the hello, it echoed back. It says my username as well. So it's picking up logic on what's going on. So let's just step back and see what we've just done. So I changed the code there and it was instantly available with the SharePoint production environment. So you've got to be a bit careful on this, is because the first time you deploy something like this, you probably go through a QA process of like, you've done this, you put it into a team site, okay, a development team site, QA tests it and they say, this is great, deploy it into this team site here, which is live. Now, you realize you need to make a change. Now, I've made a change to that bot, to the code, and it automatically came to the SharePoint, to this team tenant. Okay, so as a result, I could actually very easily bypass the QA procedures policy. So it's not uncommon if you're in a client environment, when you're doing a release window, they might give you access for like an hour to deploy everything, and then they remove access in the environment. Okay, but here, as you can see, even though I might have access removed, okay, I can still make changes and it still comes into the live environment. Okay, which is not a smart thing to do. So therefore, this is the classic thing of governance, and people need to understand the release process about what's going on with these with the bot code. Okay, because if you're not, you really are going to get some problems on this. So this is me basically re-editing this again. Okay, what I was going to do was notice the bots.js is the file to actually read, which is basically like the start of the whole process. And you can see these were the edit of the comments. This is Node.js, and this is it in the web chat. So it should be tested in the web chat. There should be some kind of a Q&A about this, and then it should be deployed into the live environment. All right, so let's just talk about some of this. So when I started with bots, I knew very little about bots. Okay, so what I did was, these are some great code giveaways in terms of the GitHub. These are fantastic samples to get you going on this, and it's documented. If anyone who is in terms of GitHub, who has not heard of GitHub? I hope everybody has. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so one of the things with GitHub, okay, top mega tip, okay, when you're looking at GitHub, you want to look at how many times it's been forked, okay, and how many times has it been watched. So let me just look at this. Let me just open this up and I'll show you exactly what I mean. This is how much it's been forked and stars. So this is a popular one. Okay, because it samples as well, over 3,000. So if it hasn't been forked very much, it doesn't have many stars, you might want to watch it, but don't expect. My experience with GitHub is that when things like anything, when things are new, they don't generally work as well as they should. Okay, so when things are being forked a lot, and forks basically means that people are copying the repository as well. Stars, it means that basically there's a lot of activity on this, and it looks pretty good on that. Okay, this is the bot framework from Microsoft in GitHub. Okay, so these are some other references. Okay, a lot of this is the walkthrough of basically how to set up the step bots. A lot of this is what you have just witnessed as well. Okay, so one of the quickest ways I got up to speed with the bots is using Pluralsight. So I know this is a third-party tool, and I've got nothing to do with Pluralsight in any shape or form. Okay, they have great courses on how to not just do bots, but about Angular and like React. Who has not heard of Pluralsight? Okay, there's a few people. So basically, it's a subscription service. I would strongly recommend. Basically is that if you're like Pluralsight is basically, because I didn't turn my Skype off on this, I would strongly recommend that basically you get a subscription for yourself or you get your company to pay for this, because this will get you the most direct way of getting to your learning destination. And like, I know you've got videos on YouTube, but one of the great things about Pluralsight is that the information is structured. Okay. And as a result, because it's structured, because it's all structured, you can actually basically know where you're going. The courses are broken down, and so therefore it's not a scenic route, and the information is correct, and the presenters are actually fantastic as well. So therefore, there's actually you can't just like Joe Smo cannot just become a presenter on Pluralsight. There's actually an approval process in terms of the content. Okay, a lot of what I've learned there was from this guy, Brian Harrison. Don't know him personally, okay, but I probably wouldn't like to meet him late at night. Okay, but he has done these actually courses. He's actually done these courses in Pluralsight, which are great to follow, easy to follow, and you learn a lot about what's going on. Okay, so I just want to say thank you for joining me. I mean, if you have any questions, let me know. So feel free to put any questions in the chat. Okay, don't do it all at once. Let me just there's a few things going on. Okay, someone said they tried forms and flow. Okay. So Aaron, you've said you've never used a bot. So do you think you're now in a place to use a bot? Okay, this is going to work on a GCC. I'm not sure what a GCC is. Okay, my camera is actually not working. Okay, but my screen is being shared. I know for some reason my camera is not working. And all the slides are on my blog, yes, which I will do this. So the speaker feedback is here. Is that this? The event feedback is here. Well, I'll review some of the questions going forward. Okay, somebody's asking about bot costs. Well, this actually depends on your subscription you actually got on this, but it also depends on the consumption of the actual bot. So this is where it gets, I would say, and I'm sort of choosing my words carefully here, where it gets fairly good. Basically, you need to be monitoring your consumption. Like, it depends on how often it's being used. You could say at the sign of a, if a bot is really good, it's providing a lot of value, it's going to cost you money. Okay, so but the idea is that these repetitive tasks that are being endlessly asked, okay, like what's my vacation policy, what's my how many days do I actually have left? Okay, will actually be in can actually be asked can be asked automatically and done and done through a bot. So therefore, does it save you having boots on the ground? Okay, someone said, how do you actually add a bot to Teams? Okay, I can do that right now. Okay, so I did have that on the presentation slide. So let me go back a bit and I'll show you how to add that to the Teams. So let me just present this. I'll do that right now. Okay, so first, so let's just pause here. What have we actually done on this? So firstly, we've actually registered the bot, so we're good on that front. We're now actually going to basically, in this one, basically wire the bot up to the team application using the application app studio. So this is that wiring process in the manifest editor. And there you see, these are my recently the test one, which was done already. So this is how you do it. New app, you put in your new name, your name in here, the full name. So notice there's a lot of SharePoint terminology here. GUID, package. I don't know if you want to class that as almost like the WSP. This is the branding icon. So that is to the wiring this up to the Teams tenant, setting up the bots. And we're going to apply it to a team, could do it to a personal chat or even a group chat. I'm bringing that package down to the team tenant. Okay, so we now want to basically deploy that to the actual team, which is what I'm doing right now. Whoops, okay, that's the team. I'm doing this, okay, and I'm adding it to a channel. Test bot. uploading it. These are the bots I was mentioning, and there you go, there's the team. Okay, there you go. Okay, so I've just added in the bot to a team. Okay, hope that was it. That was that. Any further questions? Can you have multiple bots in a channel? You can. Okay, and you saw that in that menu. Basically, I did the add and I did suggested bots, and it came up with multiple bot options. Okay. And then, so of course, I go choose, I chose the test bot, and then of course I had an HR or a PMO bot as well. Okay, so you can actually do that, yes. Because of course the bots are sort of, they have their individual, basically like listening. So and it has like a unique name. Okay, now deploying bots. Okay, I did actually like someone said, are you deploying bots to multiple? How do you deploy the bots to multiple teams? So here you witnessed me deploying that bot to a team and to a channel, which is all very well. But if you're a rather large organization and you've got 500 team sites, okay, that could be quite a manual process. So I've not done this, but I would suspect that there's probably some PowerShell process or some way you could do this. What you could do, perhaps create a team template, okay, which has got to have a bot, and then basically every time you create which is a registered bot, and then every time you actually create that team site from that template, it would bring that in. So bring that bot in. I've never done that before, I have to say that. That's probably my next weekend Sunday night learning. But I would have thought something like a PowerShell to actually push this out to all of the sites, to all of the teams on the tenant. Okay, so I hope you found this of value on this. And so if you look at my blog, there's a ton of stuff on Teams. I have a lot of GitHub stuff on Teams on that blog. So in the near future, you'll be seeing bot stuff coming from myself going into that, going into GitHub as well. Also, or even follow me on LinkedIn. I'm an active member on LinkedIn, and I'm always posting blog posts on that. So for what it's worth, you can always get good condensed articles about Teams and about, so we say, React, and about how to actually push Teams to the limit with custom code. So I just want to thank everybody for your time and enjoy